So if you never saw the masterpieces that were Spider-Man 1 and 2 from Sam Raimi, you will know that Kirsten Dunst, of course, played Mary Jane Watson, and she is now coming out talking about the dreadful gender wage gap that went on between her and Tobey Maguire, who, of course, played the titular character of Spider-Man, and that's apparently a form of bigotry. Right? That you were paid less than your co-host. Let's watch this clip. I had the article pulled up, but let's just listen to this clip of her talking about it. Here we go.
Definitely grew up in a time with major pay disparity between the lead actor and myself, even though I had been in Bring It On and he hadn't.
Did you feel that you were in a position that was going to say?
Bring It On.
Well, since
she was in Bring It On, a completely unrelated franchise.
Second, why is this person being paid more than me?
I was very young and it just felt like the time. What do you do?
Nobody questioned it.
Yeah.
Male executives didn't question it.
I feel like I know where this is going. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, all right then. Okay. Here we go.
And I didn't even think to ask.
All right. So what I find funny about this is so right now, modern female directors are one of the people that are actually pushing for pay equity when it comes to these industries, which I find really, really interesting because I wonder if that's actually going to work. Because if you're somebody who's at the top of your craft, are you actually going to be able to are you going to want to join a project if you know that you're not going to be able to leverage your own success to make more, right?
She couldn't leverage the success of Bring It On, so I mean, it's. Did
you ever see Bring It On?
Oh, of course. I mean, a great movie. I loved that movie. I don't know how famous Tobey Maguire was at the time.
He was not. But the point is, he's still playing the main character.
Yeah, he's the star and she's the co-star.
Yes,
I guess you could say.
Yeah. She should have been paid per scream. So I rewatched the original Spider-Man the other night, and holy crap, the amount of times she screams in that movie. I love it personally, but so I was watching it, and Olivia's like, does she ever stop screaming?
Well, she's the damsel in distress.
I was like, I miss the damsel in distress.
Yeah.
Let the lady be rescued once in a while.
Exactly.
That's what's wrong with that? She should have been paid per scream. That would have been perfect. You saw Bring It On?
I did see Bring It On. I mean, that's a classic, iconic movie from the late 90s? Early 2000s?
Early 2000s.
Yeah, probably more early 2000s. I mean, she was pretty famous at the time, I guess. Obviously, she was from Jumanji, too. But at the end of the day, you're getting paid for the role that you're doing. And this also goes back to the gender wage gap, right? It's women just don't ask for raises as much, or they don't ask for as big of a salary, or they don't work as many hours, which I'm sure on this movie set she didn't, considering she wasn't the star of the movie. Did
you notice the guy said, the male executives didn't say anything? It's not their job.
No one cares. No one's coming to rescue you.
When you're entering into a business agreement. It is your job to hire an agent to get you the best deal possible. It is not the job of a male executive. His job is to save the studio as much money as possible while getting them the best actor they can get.
Which goes to show you it really is just brainwashing. The idea of the gender age gap or sexism, I'm not saying it doesn't exist at all whatsoever. But to this extent, you can just be convinced to believe something that has no validity.
One thing that I thought was funny was in Man of Steel, from what I understand, Amy Adams made more than Henry Cavill because she was a bigger. Somebody can fact check me on that.
Great
but if I remember correctly, she made more, or at least that was the rumor. So maybe not, but the rumor was that Amy Adams, because she was a bigger name as Lois Lane, made more than Henry Cavill did. Cavill, as the guy, as Rolo said when he was on here. Now I'm gonna start saying that to piss people off. Cavill, that she made more than him. But also, if you look at what happened with Barbie, Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling made $12.5 million, and she made $50 million after bonuses, which makes sense because one, she was a producer on the film. That's another way you can increase your payment. But she's the star of the movie. It's not called, even though he might have been the best part of the movie, it's not called Ken, it's called Barbie. Therefore, you would expect her to make more. Makes perfect sense to me. But with more female directors now pushing for this, so Olivia Wilde was doing this. She was pushing for pay equity.
Oh, Olivia Wilde.
I can't imagine you're an actor at the top of your game, and somebody says, I want you to take the same salary as this other person with less credentials. That's fine. Apparently Tobey Maguire had less credentials than she did, than Kirsten Dunst did. Her job is to hire an agent that will then leverage those credentials to get her a better payday.
Exactly. It's like when someone is offered a job and you have to negotiate your pay rate, whether you're a man or a woman. And she can't blame Hollywood and create this idea of there's a giant like sex-based gender wage gap in Hollywood if she just didn't speak up at the time, or her agent or whoever's job it was.
And it's the job of you as an actor to know your work, especially if you're going into any field that's an independent contractor, you better be like really, really willing to negotiate on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be going from job to job, and you can't, like, how long can you blame sexism until you just have to decide, look, I need to make more money. Like, I can keep blaming the patriarchy, but what I really need is more money. How do I do that?
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, she was Kirsten Dunst of Bring It On fame.
That
She
is-
shouldn't have
I think it
had
is
to
interesting
negotiate,
that she,
right?
her argument is like it's sexism, and it couldn't have just been I was not as successful as I thought I was, or moving into the Spider-Man, superhero industry. I didn't realize that there was a potential to earn even more.
Yeah.
Right.
And would the movie not have been as successful if Kirsten Dunst hadn't played Mary Jane? Do you think? I don't think it really made a big
winning
difference.
that she got her own spin-off, right? She was always second fiddle, as she should have been, because it's about
Right.
Spider-Man.
Right.
But
So she was reminded that Tobey Maguire was paid $17 million to reprise his role, but according to Dunst, it might have been more actually. Well, it depends on if he negotiated money for residuals, or if he negotiated money based on how it does at the box office. That was a big thing when they released Black Widow, day and date release. Scarlett Johansson ended up suing Disney because a big part of her contract was contingent on the box office returns, and she argued that by releasing it on Disney Plus as well as in theaters, you hindered my ability to meet those contractual requirements
Interesting.
to make more money. She did the right thing. She got litigation involved, and she negotiated a better deal for herself.
okay.
I don't know what's so hard about taking that responsibility on yourself to get yourself the contract you want. Also, Neve Campbell walked away from Scream 6 because they didn't offer her the money she wanted. She said, look, I'm the star of this franchise. I've been here since the first movie. I deserve more. She walked away. And then when Scream 7 came around and they fired Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, they came crawling back to her and gave her the money she wanted so that they could make the 7th film, because they no longer had those fill-ins. You have to be able to not just know how much you're worth, but act on it and not just acquiesce because you feel the pressure to do so. And I think that's where women being naturally less confrontational than men hurts them in the job market.
Totally.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure there's lots of male actors that have accepted roles for way less than they're worth, too.
It is interesting because it's not like the guy who played Uncle Ben in Spider-Man. It's like, yeah, and Toby got more than I did, even though I was in
Or what's the
whatever.
aunt's name?
You know what I mean?
Aunt May.
Aunt May.
Aunt May.
I mean, it makes me laugh because the idea that with Hollywood, for some people it is they're coming off this project and so they're a big deal, they get more money, there's more buzz around them, but it's not like a years of experience thing. It's not like other jobs where you're like, oh, well, you have had 5 years experience in this position, so therefore we automatically assume you're entering in at a higher pay bracket. With Hollywood,
She
Yeah.
showed up one day. She's like, she goes to Toby. She's like, so how much are you making? He's like, could you tell me what you're making?
well, and the video that you watched was from recent, right? Like,
Yeah.
she only came to this conclusion years and years later, as far as I can tell.
I don't know. Okay, so here's the thing. I remember this story ages ago.
Okay.
This story that I'm reading right now is from April 4th. So it happened like over the week, like before the weekend. But maybe I'm just transposing it with like another similar incident. But I could have swore I heard of this before, and she's like still out here on her kick talking about it, looking for her pay equity that she's never going to get.
Is she very active right now, or is she sort of retired?
She's out there advertising something right now, though I don't remember what it was. But she's in Civil War. That comes out this week. The movie Civil War, the Garland movie. So, and what better way to advertise your movie than to talk about all the ways in which Hollywood has wronged you?
And about how much of a
Yes.
victim you are.
And it's funny too because I watched back that movie and it really is. I guess she's good in the movie. She's fine. She does like the kind of innocent, wide-eyed part really, really well. And she really is a classic damsel in distress. But when I look at who should have gotten the second most in that movie, it better have been Willem Dafoe. I almost said William again. I always do that and then people yell at me.
Was he the Green Goblin?
Yes. So that's, or James Franco. So it's the way things are in Hollywood, but it is going to be a cudgel that will be used as a weapon forever to be like, I didn't make the money that I felt that I should have made on this. And you're just like, so Like argue, like you're Kirsten Dunst. I've heard of you. That means most other people have heard of you. Argue, like ask for more.
Right.
Argue for more.
And it takes away from instances where there is actually sexism and someone is discriminated against for their gender. I wouldn't say that this is one of those instances.
I have to ask this, even though it's kind of a tangent. Kirsten Dunst, is she the one who had to kiss like Brad Pitt when she was a kid?
Yes.
In like the vampire movie? Did you guys ever talk about this?
We never talked about it, but Interview with the Vampire.
We should talk about it all the time because I find that so weird.
Didn't she? Oh yeah, it's super weird. And didn't she talk about
how Interview with the Vampire?
Yeah,
sure. Something with the vampire. And she was like 11. He was like in his 30s, and they were like, "Anyways, child actress, this is something you have to do." You're gonna be like, "You have to do this?"
Yeah,
this is absolutely.
What is the definition of had?
If she has complaints about Hollywood, I feel like not getting paid as much as the lead of a movie that you were not the lead in is really not where she should start with her litany of issues. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like she has commented on that movie before, and I want to say she said something about the kiss as well as how much she was paid. But I could just
Did she get paid more as an 11-year-old in that movie, and that's why she's mad that as a teenager or a 20 person she was making less?
Making the same amount.
Because I feel like I would be mad at Hollywood for being like, there was no reason that I needed to do this at 11, and you guys made me. Like, that's where I would start with my complaints. But, you know, maybe I don't understand the brunt of not being Spider-Man as much as
and let's face it, to the average person, the I only made $7 million argument's just always gonna fall flat. Like the average person is gonna be like, well, you know, I have a tiny violin.
Yeah.
I can look for a smaller one, but I'm not entirely sure that I can weep wholeheartedly for you for only making $7 million.
This is maybe not the complaint that you think it is.
Yeah, that's the way I see it.
I don't know. I think people will march in the streets for her. Only $7 million.
Oh my
goodness! How can they do this to her?
It's a damn travesty.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.